I talked about the Adonidunoba and the Aka. If Isoko, the Eri is mentioned 2 times in Isoko. When a child is born, they will say Omoeri.
Umueri.
Umueri. When a child or when an elder or someone dies, they will say Onya, uberinu. He has gone to meet Eri. That he has gone to join his ancestors. They mention it twice in Isoko Eri.
The child is born and when someone dies.
They call that he has gone to join his ancestors. Eri.
So, talking about the Isoko history, what do you have to tell us by Isoko history? Where they migrated from, where they settled first, how they migrated?
Yes, in Isoko, there is still a problem that we have. There is the creation of Nigeria brought a lot of division from the dictatorship government to the political era. A lot of things went wrong, and the same thing of creation is really bringing the problem. Originally, before the war, the Isoko, before the 1967 war, the Isoko and the Igbos, they do the same. They do together. Originally, they do together. Somehow, they do together. But after all of this, politically, you know how you want to favor this one, you want to favor the other one. So Isoko people, most of them have hatred for Igbo because of, I can say, politics is involved when you come to national way. So, and when you talk about Igbo, they say, where did they go? Igbo, to Fiakwa. So they have identity crisis on that area. So when you tell Isoko man you are from Igbo, they will doubt you. They say, forget it, we are not from Igbo, because the hatred has been created for long ago. If you go to the north, if you say you are from Delta State, from Isoko, they will say you are an Igbo, say Nyamiri people. So, but when you come here, we are divided. And the seed of discord has been sown by the imperialists. The foreigners brought all of these anomalies. So Isoko people, originally, let me tell you the whole oral history. Isoko people, their former name was not Isoko. They have what we call Ado, Aka. And when you want to, before the colonial era, they called it anything they want to do. We have 3 brothers, Ado, Nidu, Noba. If you go and ask a historian in Igbo, they will tell you what Oba stands for. So Ado, Nidu, Oba, they are brothers. They are the children of Eri. If you meet Isoko today, they will tell you they want to do their Isha Agware. They will first greet Isoko Ado, Isoko Ado. They are mentioning their ancestors. And the Ado is a son of Eri. Idu is a son of Eri. The Oba is the son of Eri. Then we have another Oba again that the Yorubas people later colonized the Benin and bringing confusion in the Benin kingdom and all that. So, and then in those days, when you ask any elderly people, say, where are you from? They will tell you, I'm from Aka. The Aka is a son of Eri, the Akalaka. These are the people that settled in the Benin that we hear today. I am telling you facts, though people will counter it, but that is fact. And some of this symbolism, some of the artifacts are supposed to represent, to show that these things are originally, we are together. They don't use them. Some of the authors in Isoko, they don't mention Igbo as where they came from. They only mention Benin. And if you want to go into the archaeologists, that normally discover all of these remains and the artifacts to prove that these people are from the same place genetically, you don't see them bringing all of these facts together. Because one, we were somehow divided. So, and any historian who will say, I have written a work, I have done this, they have if you deep down in there, based on hatred, they may not mention all of these things. They will hide them. And when you want to make reference to an author or a scholar, they will tell you so author who wrote a book in 1940 did not say all of these things. See, a researcher is more vast than someone who just wrote or just write something and present to the people. So when you research, you will know more facts. And when you are not bringing all of these symbols to showcase that these people are, this is what they do together. Let me give you a proof to tell you that even if they will doubt it, the Igbo people did not conquer the Isoko people because they are the same people. They did not conquer them. How can you conquer your child? How can you colonize your own child? Let me use that word. How can you force somebody on something? The Igbo did not colonize the Isoko. They were together. They did not conquer them. They are doing the same thing. For example, the Ofor that we use in Igbo, they call it Ovo in Isoko. Ovo. It is a corrupt word. The Obogo, which is the ancient money of the Igbos that they use in giving their daughters in marriage, is called Ugo. The Obogo abbreviation. They cut off, when languages are coming. And see, let me tell you, Isoko they are speaking 3 languages together. Many people don't know this. I'm telling you the truth. Nobody can tell you in Isoko as a whole of what I'm telling you now. Meet any elder, any scholar in Isoko, they will not tell you this. Isoko are speaking 3 languages together. They are speaking Olokun, the language of the Yorubas, and Benin. They are speaking Afamai language in Igodomigodo. Afamai. They are speaking Igbo mixed together. And I will tell you the similarities. What the Isoko people, what Isoko means in Igbo and what Igbo means in Isoko.
Okay, I'm listening.
So, when you call Nwani, Isoko call it Aye.
Nwani.
Yes. When you call Opia, there is a language in the terms they use in Isoko when they are doing their festival, they call it Opia. Isoko Tolopia.
Hold on. Nwani in Igbo, I'm Nwani now.
Yes.
Isoko call it Aye.
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 Yes. Then, when you call Bia, Isoko call it Bize. If you want somebody to come closer to you, Isoko call it Bize. Yes.
Bia, Bize.
Yes.
Biaze.
Yes. The Opia is the Opia we call the Oma. Yes. We can have 2 things. In English, we have synonyms. This one can mean this one they can, So that is it. Then, semantically, you will understand that we are together. But the problem is the hatred. There are so many things I can say, but maybe time will not permit all of that. Then I talked about the Adoni Dunoba and the Aka. If Isoko, the Eri is mentioned 2 times in Isoko. When a child is born, they will say Omoeri.
Omoeri.
Umueri. When a child or when an elder or someone dies, they will say Onya, uberinu. He has gone to meet Eri. That he has gone to join his ancestors. They mention it twice in Isoko Eri.
The child is born and when someone dies.
They call that he has gone to join his ancestors. Eri.
Now, talking about this history you're giving me now and all that, what made you go into this research? Because according to you said you wrote a book about this history and you know about the Isoko history and this. What gave you that motivation to go into this research? Was there any encounter, or you were trying to know where your forefathers came from, or were you in any way insulted, or you understand?
Actually, my father was a historian, and he tells us so many things. He do tell us the might of the ancient Idu kingdom, the Ogisos, the Igodomi, and you call them, and You see, all of these things, the African history is based mostly on oral. And the European.
Before I forget. You said you made mention of what Igbo mean in Isoko and what Isoko mean in Igbo. Can you show more light on that?
There are many. We have Ikebe, and Ndi Igbo call it Ike.
Isoko call it what?
Ikebe.
Okay. Isoko people call it Ikebe.
Yes.
And Igbo call it Ike.
Yes. Eva. Afo. Yes. In phonetics, you will understand how words are pronounced differently.
Or they mean same thing.
They mean same thing. And then in semantics, or we call it syntax, the word syntax, how words are structured, formed. Some of these things that we pronounce here, when life, we call it evolution, when, things are unfolding and coming up, going and coming, you see changes of things over time. And though you will first ask me of something about what brought all about all of this information, if maybe I had an encounter before.
I was asking to know if you had any encounter, or was there any, like maybe someone insulted you somewhere that made you to like push you into this, or you woke up and decided to do research on this history of the Ukwani, the Isoko of a thing?
Actually, research cannot give.
You are the kind of person that love history.
I love history. I read history, the American history, the Russian histories, and the world history at large, the Assyrian history, the Persian histories, and Akkadian history, Ottoman histories, and so many of them, and the Scandinavians, and
you made mention of your father being a historian before.
yes, he was, and though he's late, may so rest in peace. He told me so many things medically, and when you go into research, you see that the might or the metallurgy of the elders, they have facts there, but based on the fact that they are not scientifically proven, they will counter it and say it's not right. But if you deep down, when you observe, go to what culture is talking about, you will not see the facts, the truth that is in it, even if they will doubt it based on sentiments.
Are you saying that the Isoko people and the Igbo have link together?
They have link, genetically they have link. Then culturally they have link. When you go to the area of two rappers, the Isoko tied two rappers, they use the same orgy for prayers or a gondu for anybody who is that possessed or needs a blessing from the elders. And then the Isokos, they also observe this traditional 4 market days is also observed in Isoko, the Umueri-Child. And then we have Uje, Atuegono, and Atujen, and on the, I think that is what, because they had later to rename them, those corrupt words, they renamed them in their way to understand what they do.
Like these are Umueri-Child, they renamed it.
They renamed it with their own tune, with their own dialect or their own language. We have a K, for Orie.
Then Isoko?
They call it Egwo, Uje, Atuegono, and Atujeno.
Before
market days, they observe it, and when in those days, it's not now, because those 4 market days, they have a particular gods that they represent. They serve them. Those in the ancient Igbo culture. On the market day, like Nkwo, if you go to the bush, they can strike you. The deities of the bush who are in the forest, they can strike you. And then if anybody dies, the same way they do in Igbo, if anybody dies, it becomes, they will make sure they will observe, sit at home, that people will sit and mourn the person. They will not mourn the person. And the same way, if Isoko, anybody happens to die, they also sit at home and observe to mourn the person who died. And after the observing some days that is being counted, they will do cleansing, Ejuana. They will do cleansing. They do it in Isoko, and they have the traditional worshippers. They have what they use in doing the cleansing. Like in some communities in Ukwane, they use enobo or abankuru, they call it snail. To do cleansing, some use fowls, white fowl, or the same, depend on what they want to use to appease the gods. To do cleansing, Isoko do theirs as well. If anybody died, you don't go anywhere. It's not now that we have many migrants who coming from different villages, and sometimes some strangers who don't want to observe all of these things, so we like to go to the bush, and they don't care. But those typical indigenous or indigenous, they don't play with that. So the same thing is observed here in Isoko. Culturally, that is how they do it.
Or that, do they have any cultural event that they do or celebrate here that you feel like is similar to the one we do in Igbo land?
Yes, we have the festival of yam.
They do yam festival here?
They don't name it that way. But there's a way they call it. It is only the church people that observe it. This is how they do it. Or the Ivuevu is harvest, festival of harvest. So Isoko do their own, and majorly I do see it in the church where they traditionally, like the Abrahamic culture, they do it. The festival of harvest, they do it. So Isoko people normally do their own, but they do it in the period of March, April. That's when they normally observe their festival. And then if you go to the Igbo, we have the March. That is when the moon is coming, they observe it. So, and when they are doing these traditional things, they do Otaliji. Even in the Isoko, in those days, they pound Otaliji, which is Otaliji. Yeah, the yam, they do yam fufu.
What do they call Taraji in Isoko?
Eguole.
But in your language, what do they call it?
Ukwane is Utaliji, or Utala Madaka. We have Akpu, Utala Madaka. We have which is Akpu, they call it Akpu too. So.
But this is Ngaji. You know Ngaji is spoon. In Isoko, what is it called?
Ugaji, or Ukujere.
In Isoko, Ngaji is called Ugaji.
Some of part of Isoko call it Ugaji, some call it Ukujere.
You see that some things are similar, like.
Yes, so that is so. But nowadays, most of them they use ram for their festival in Isoko here, and they normally do. So depend on the people. They do ukodo. They can use it for ukodo. They use it for pounded yam. But these days, since I'm not following them, I don't know if they are still pounding the Utala Iji. But that is the period they normally bring yams from different areas. Those days they used to have bands of yam, and they celebrate it that the gods of the land has blessed them bountifully, and they are to celebrate it. That is Egu Iriji. Yes.
You've not answer my question very well.
Okay.
What made you to go into research or history?
When you talk about research in the area of the internet space or from the hard book.
What made you to go into finding out where the Okwani people came from, the history of the Okwani people, and knowing more about the Isoko people? Was there any way you had any issue with somebody concerning where you come from, that you're not from Delta State, you're from Igbo, you're not from Okwani, you're from this? Is there any?
What really gave me the morale, the motivation came from my father, who was telling us some tales on the Idu kingdom, talking about the tortoise and the elephants, and some of that mouse or mice, and the aguyi, and the rest of them, how the elders of old speaks with animals. We have a book called the Aesop Fables, the Aesopica, Those Aesop talks about the life of animism, talks about how people they hear when a tortoise is speaking, but it's no longer in vogue. If you go to some of the chief priests, they talk to either a pussycat or they talk to, depend on the kind of animal in their custody. If they go to the farm, they can talk to animal or to antelope, or depends. So those things were brought together and they used them to tell us futures. So my father gave me that moral, and I was like, what is all of these things? How are they? How come about all these things? I begin to do my findings, and my father told me categorically that these are the things that happened in the ancient time. So orally, he told me all of these things. And I want to tell you one secret. The Europeans who came to exploit Africa, especially in Nigeria, they made away with some of the artifacts and some solid materials that was supposed to show that these people are together, and these are a lot that try to destroy our system. And they went. If you go to the Roman, they have underground there in the Rome or Italy. The Roman Empire, they have underground down where some of the books, they are the Vatican City or any other area, they have different locations where they kept histories. They don't expose them. Some of the things you want to do research, you search internet, you Google, you don't see many things. And I want to tell you, history is very deep, and history are reserved for the elite. In every region, communities, cities, nations, developed countries, local areas, there we have in social, the one called sociology, we have what we call stratification, where we have hierarchy of people or different class, and the elites, they are information that they don't give out to the vulnerables or to people who does not have the privilege to do things. The informations are kept underground. There are areas that if you go, I'm telling you, let me tell you, a historian who is good in it or who have gained momentum from one source, you hear somebody speaking to you, telling you facts that even your father may not tell you some of those things. Once you are a historian, you hear from a source. You can call it juju. It doesn't concern me. I don't serve juju. But everybody have a spirit that speaks to you, or the spirit can speak to you, can speak to me. So my father motivated me, and I stayed with others. I moved with others. I hear them say things. And when you are talking rubbish, I distance myself from you. So real informations are hidden from the commoners, and these people they call commoners are the ones that are being marginalized, that are being treated with with all manner of way of handling. Is that a slave, I can call it, because we have hierarchy in every community, and any king or a kingdom, there are some information the king will not even tell the community people. So go to the Benin, there are some things you don't even know. Even if you interview from the Obas, he will not tell you some things. Go to the Onya of Ife, there are some things he will not even tell you. Go to the Umueri, there are some information that are not disclosed to even the chiefs, except the chief priests understand. If you go to the Israel today, there are information you cannot see in the internet space. They have a secret. Every nation have their secret.
Now, you said you got the motivation from your father.
Yeah.
So, let's say you started sitting with him discussing about history from childhood to your age now before he passed away.
Yeah.
What can you share with me? Can you share with me the history your father shared with you, like the history of how we migrated, the slave trade, and the history of the Igbos and Africa as a whole? Even when the white people came in, their experience with the white people and everything.
Actually, my father told me so many things about the Igodo kingdom, which is the Idu kingdom. And some of the informations are hidden somewhere, are not disclosed. You can only get the facts from someone who tell you a story of the ancient Idu. And that is what I am breaking and bringing out some things now. Actually, my father has told me things about the Idu kingdom, and these are some of the things I'm telling you now. and are also heard from a source, not from these human beings telling me some things. And some time ago, I had an encounter about where I came from, and I saw so many things because rhetorically, or if you go to the other word, abstract, you know the word abstract, the other word, there are some things you hear. And when you are telling people, they may think you are mad or you don't know what you're saying. And if you meet some chief priests, they will tell you some things that are from abstract, things that are not visible. And all these things are facts. But when you meet a scholar, they will tell you where is the proof. And it's somebody that will make something to become real. For example, if you will see an archaeologist today, I will be able to address the person and say, look at this, put them together, and they will give you a license for that to prove that indeed this is true. But when you don't have anybody that will do all that, we have this one quarreling with the other one, they will throw away some of these things. And like
if you're not free.
It's
as if you're not free to like say, tell me like more you know about the history and your experience with your father, what you learned from him.
I learned history from my father, photos from my father. He told me about the Aesop fables, the fables of the animal world, the king of Idu, and how they used to do their things. I have some video clips. I recorded my father. I think I need to put it into CDs and convert it, though he was using Isoko to narrate it. And then because my paternal grandmother is an Isoko person from Ole, but they sojourned to Ndukwa and settled there. So even my paternal grandmother told me some of these things, and all of these things that I'm explaining today. If you think I'm not free, history is not what you just begin to vomit anyhow because of the dreadfulness of the bullies who are in the society. They can capture you, squeeze you because of their ego and their might. They want to like, why will you say I'm from here, and why would you say I'm this and that? So there are some things that are reserved that I can't vomit, except maybe if I am like a president, or I am like a very high-ranking military man with a 5-star. I can say anything you want to.
Cannot be touched.
I cannot be touched. But sometimes one has to be diplomatic when you are vomiting certain facts. But I can tell you all these things that I'm saying today, nobody will tell you in this pattern. They will tell you a different thing, but they still boil down to a source.
What is this she call in Isoko?
Iku.
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 What of Nti? Nti.
Nti Ezo. History is called Iku in Isoko.
But in Ukwani, Isi.
Isi is Isi.
Nti kwan.
Ukwane Nti. Isi. Onu. Anya. Imi. Azụ. Ụkwụ. Aka.
Nri ofe.